Hey homegirl, I am Kiani, the responsible homegirl. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, make yourself at home. Go get your notepad, go get your pen because this video is going to be amazing. If you are one of my OG homegirls who have been rocking with me since the very beginning, hey sis, expect another great video. Today I am going to be talking to you about some key financial tips that I have been gaining from two books that I am reading. So let's jump right into this video because we don't have no time to waste. The two books that I'm reading, these two books, one is named From College to COVID to Recession by Hassan Thomas. The good thing about this book is I actually know the author. So me and Hassan, we both entered into the personal finance industry around the same time in about 2020. And this is a gem for all of my people who are building businesses from the ground up. When you enter into an industry, don't think that people in the same industry are your competition. It's very easy for us to think like I'm competing against a person. But this is actually the perfect opportunity for you to come together and collaborate. So I can remember me and Hassan both coming together on Instagram and just supporting each other content, giving each other words of wisdom. We met up at FinCon, which is a huge conference in Orlando for personal finance content creators. And you will never know how many great things can come from just those relationships. So love this book so far. I'm going to get into some gems that y'all can see, like, and I'm not even finished like the entire book yet, but it was just so good that I'm like, I want to take a moment and share some of the tips that I've been learning from this book. And then the second book that I'm reading is called Girls That Invest. This book is a gem as well. Another thing that I didn't mention, both of these books are written by young adults, so people who are in their 20s, which I think is 10 out of 10, because primarily the Responsible Homegirl community is a community of women who are in their 20s, early 30s. Most of us, we are working to becoming better women, and that's in every area of our lives, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, all of these great things. So it was very dope. I think it's very dope that I'm reading both of these books at the same time and just seeing just how much game, how much knowledge there is out there. And if I can be here reading these books and still learning so much, and I'm actually immersed in the personal finance community, trust and believe there is so much that you can gain as well by picking up these two books. So I'm gonna have all of the details and descriptions and all of the good things in the description box, but let's jump right into it. I'm gonna start off with From College to COVID to Recession, and then I'm gonna transition over to Girls That Invest. Okay, number one, let's get to it. So I love how Hassan starts off this book just by discussing his story, his background, how he even got interested in personal finance. Then he takes us on this journey of tips that he learned during COVID. Now, y'all know COVID 2020 was a very interesting year, to say the least. It was one of the best years of my life. I started building my relationship with God and really began to know like who God is for myself. And then of course, the Responsible Homegirl was birthed during that time period as well. And I just was learning so much about personal finance. But one key thing that he said that he learned during COVID is to embrace fear and let go of self-doubt. Now, that is a huge one because when we are faced with fear, oftentimes we think like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I haven't done this before. And we kind of think that we're the only one experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing. And we look at it as an obstacle instead of an opportunity. Now, when you feel fear, it is an opportunity for you to sit down and think about, why am I experiencing this fear in this moment? What am I actually afraid of? Like, don't be afraid of fear. Actually embrace it. Lean into it. This is the perfect time to ask yourself questions. And then he says, let go of self-doubt. This is another great one because as you are becoming a better woman, becoming a better person, you have to let go of all of these things that we have told ourselves, these lies, these self-limiting beliefs, all of these things that do not line up with who you actually are. So that really stood out to me because anytime you are embarking on something new, it can feel so much bigger than what it actually is. So embrace fear, let go of self-doubt, and just walk. Take one step at a time, put one foot in front of the other, and embrace the newness. So now I want to actually get into some of the personal finance tips from this book. I'll just preface this with, this is a great book for college grads, even Jesus, recent college grads, because Hassan takes us on this journey of what it was like to be in COVID, and after COVID, graduating college, and then boom, this recession. And then y'all know right now it is talks of a recession, high unemployment rate. Y'all know inflation is through the roof. So I even think now in 2023, this book can still be applicable to what we're going through in life. And instead of sitting down, complaining, and just doing all this unnecessary stuff about what's going on around us, he talks about practical tools and things that you can actually do. Y'all know my saying, there are things you can do, okay? So first thing first, it is critical to be aware of what you're spending and what you're making. Your income and your expenses are the foundation for everything you do in personal finance. You know, if you know, you know. If you've been in this community for a little minute, you know I always say manage your money so your money isn't managing you. The basics of personal finance is money management. What do you have coming in versus what you have leaving out? If you're listening to this video right now, you might think like, oh, I know how much I make. I know how much my bills is, like my rent, my light, my water, my Wi-Fi, all of that. That's good that you know the major stuff, but do you know the little stuff that slide through the cracks? The 99-cent Apple storage here, the $9.99 title, Apple Music or Spotify there, the subscription here, the subscription there, just all of the stuff that we're not typically thinking about. And if you don't know it, get you out a blank sheet of paper, that notepad and that pen that I told you to take out at the beginning of this video, and go through your bank statements with a magnifying glass. Look at what you have consistently coming out your account every single month. Now, moving right along, Hassan shares so many good gems in this book, but I love his perspective on personal finance and why it's even important to start learning how to manage your money. He talks about it as a form of self-love. And as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. Because when you love yourself, you want to take care of yourself at the highest level. And as he is talking about in this book, and I'll actually read the paragraph, as he's talking about in this book, taking care of your personal finances is a form of taking care of you. And when I just reflect back on my own journey, back in 2019, I was a senior in college, stressed out, just distressed, embarrassed, ashamed. It was so hard for me to take my mind off of the money because of what I had been experiencing financially. And so many of us are stressed out financially. We're embarrassed, we're shamed, we're guilty for making the purchase that we made. It's just all of these different things. But when you approach your personal finances as an act of self-love, as an act of taking care of yourself, I strongly believe that that could just help with your mindset shift. But he says here, I believe we should all be striving for financial freedom and financial wellness. But what does that look like? Dr. Thomas, which is a personal finance person that he referenced in the book earlier, Dr. Thomas describes financial wellness as the ability to live for today and plan for tomorrow. This quote is so impactful because often we feel like money management and budgeting is closely associated with sacrifice and restriction, which I believe it is. When you are starting your personal finance journey, there is a level of sacrifice that you have to go through, and there is some, I'm not going to say you have to strictly restrict yourself, but you have to put boundaries in place so that you are successful. You got to set yourself up to win. So I wouldn't say it's totally absence of sacrifice and restriction, but it is definitely, it's a part of the process, right? So he keeps going on, he says this is not the case. Now I don't necessarily agree with that part, but keep going with me. This is not the case. Budgeting and investing can be viewed as showing your future self some self-love, not a momentary sacrifice. Becoming financially literate or educated in money management gives you the ability to not only live for today, but plan for tomorrow as well. If we were to ask people of retirement age 65 plus what their biggest regret is, 9 times out of 10, they would say, I wish I saved more money when I was younger. We cannot blame them because they weren't nearly as many resources, tools, and technologies readily accessible back then, especially for minority communities. Now, that paragraph stood out to me. If you follow me on TikTok, you know I just recently did a video where I was asking my mom, she's 49 years old, I was asking her for money advice that she would give to her 25-year-old self. And she said, I would save more money and stop spending so recklessly. So I can say I attest to this last paragraph. Showing up for your personal finances is an act of showing your future self some self-love, because it only takes sacrifice, discipline, and a mindset shift to start doing what it is that you're supposed to be doing with your money well. So now the next thing that I want to share is, this is in chapter 3, how to make money during an economic downfall. Now I got to bring this point up because this is something that I have been seeing a lot in the personal finance community. It has just been loud to me, and I'm gonna talk about it in the Girls That Invest book as well. I have been seeing lately some of the personal finance advice have been so strict, like this or that, and it's not that black and white. Like, some things are black and white, but everything is not all the time black and white. And one of my issues with the personal finance community is, like, it's always an either or instead of it being a both and conversation. Now, let me explain exactly what I mean. So in this specific chapter, he is talking about making money during an economic downfall, during rough times, hard seasons, which all of us go through. And he says the first step to mastering your money is to make more of it. Other financial gurus will tell you to cut back on your expenses and spend less. Yes, that's a good option, but there is only so much you can cut back. Everyone has mandatory and basic necessities that cost money, like food, utilities, transportation, and housing, which is true. And I agree with him. It's important that you make more money. However, from my experience of working with people, talking to people, making more money is definitely one of the things. Like, people don't make enough. And even in my own situation, I wasn't making enough money. I was living way above my means. I do not want us to discount the amount of money that we waste. On social media, I'm always saying, girl, stop wasting your money. Girl, stop wasting your money. Because if you are honest with yourself, we waste a whole lot of money. So I don't want you to read anything and look at it like a little pass or a little slap on the back. And yes, it's fine. Make more money. Continue to get the things you love. But like I said before in this video, when you are starting your personal finance journey, there is a level of sacrifice and just cutting back that you have to go through. It's inevitable. I always say sometimes you gotta cut back to come up, and it is okay. We live in a time right now where we want everything instantly. We gotta have it now. Instant gratification is keeping you BROKE. Period. If you could just wait, play the long game, cut back on those expenses, and increase your income. It's a both and conversation, not an either or. Now, the last key tip that I want to bring to your attention in this book is when Hassan is talking about dividend investing. And I think this is a great segue because it's going to lead us into Girls That Invest with so many good gems about investing. So dividend investing, and I'm going to start off with reading, I can't remember what chapter this is, but it says here, dividend investing is a method of buying stocks that pay dividends to receive a regular income stream from your investments. This income comes on top of any growth in your portfolio. So not only is your money growing because of the appreciation of a stock, but you are also making money because the company is going to pay you dividends. They're basically going to pay you out. And if you're listening right now and you don't know what a stock is essentially ownership in a company. So the way I break it down is, say for instance, Thanksgiving is around the corner. Say for instance, you have a sweet potato pie. And it's not your sweet potato pie, but it's your homegirl sweet potato pie. And she just like, girl, this sweet potato pie is so good. And then you say, oh, it's good? Give me piece. And she's like, okay, I'll give you piece, but give me $5 per piece. Girl, I gotta pay you $5 for the sweet. Yes, support your friend's business, okay? So you give her $5 for a piece of the sweet potato pie. So now you have taken ownership, not of the whole pie, but of your piece of pie. Same thing with the stock market. You have Apple, a company. We love Apple. We use iPhones, AirPods, MacBooks, Apple Watch, all of these different things. Don't you know that you can own a piece of Apple by buying a stock of their company? That's all you got to do. So when you think about a stock, think about ownership. Think about a piece of something. You don't own the entire thing. You own the piece that you purchase. Okay? So now let's go back to dividend investing. So he says here, dividends are payments made by a company to shareholders. So you, as an owner of the stock, you are called a shareholder. And the company, Apple doesn't pay dividends, I don't think. But as a company, since we're using Apple, we're just going to go with it. Apple, as a company, they're going to pay you, the shareholder, for having stock in their company. They are powerful because you are literally being paid just to have part ownership in a company. How can you beat that? Which I agree. How can you beat that? So going over, no, before I go over, he says here, not all stocks give dividends to shareholders. That's very important to know. And just because a company doesn't give you dividends, that doesn't make it a bad company. They just don't offer that to their company. You make money off of the appreciation, meaning your stock is going up, right? Versus dividend stocks, you make money off of the appreciation and you get paid a dividend. Still a great opportunity, still a way to invest money, but it's important to know that differentiation, that every company does not pay dividends. Now, going over, a dividend king is a company that has increased their dividends for the past 50 years. Now, that is huge. I didn't even know that. So as I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh. So basically, to me, that screams, look at companies that has a track record of doing good business, a track record of having their stocks increase in value and their dividends increase in value year after year, because that tells me a whole lot about the consistent growth of a company. Then he comes down and says another option is dividend exchange trading funds. You may know them as ETFs. These are index funds that give investors exposure to various dividend stocks, basically a group of dividend stocks. So when you think about an ETF, think about a group of people. So earlier I gave you the example of buying Apple, but an ETF might be Apple, Microsoft, and other tech companies all grouped together. So you see the difference between a stock and an ETF. A stock is more individual focused, one company, versus an ETF is a group of companies together. So then he lists for ways that an investor can start dividend investing and investing in dividend stocks. I'm not going to go into all the details here because I want to move on to Girls That Invest. But from college to COVID, these are a few financial key tips, principles that I have learned so far in this book that has been really helpful and that stood out to me. So if you're interested in learning more, make sure you look in my description box. I have all of the information there where you can go purchase the book. And Hassan told me that for Black Friday, they are offering $5 off of this book. So there's no reason why you can't go cop it. Click the link below, grab your book, and yeah, start learning. So now moving right along to Girls That Invest, okay? So Girls That Invest is another great gem that I have been enjoying. The first thing that I want to discuss in this book is passive income. So here she says, passive income is the money you earn without working. But no other passive income stream works the way investing does. And the best part is that it can work on autopilot. And when she says investing, y'all know I always say investing is such a broad term and you have different investment vehicles. So the investment vehicle that she's specifically talking about in this book is stock market investing. So this book has really been helpful in giving me some more insight into stock market investing. So let's get into it. I love that she starts off this section with why it's important to invest. I always scream from the mountaintop. Start with why. Start with why. That's another great book. It's not a personal finance book. It's like a business building leadership book. Start with why. And that literally changed my mindset around how I approach everything. I am always asking myself, why? When you get to start with, when you understand the importance of starting with why, not only does it help your vision, but it helps you stay consistent. It helps strengthen your yes and strengthen your no. So when somebody say, can you do XYZ? If it doesn't align, no. If it does, yes. And you don't feel a way about it, you don't feel guilty about it. Yes is yes and no is no because you started with the why and you understand that. So she shared 5 major reasons why it's important to invest. 1, to beat inflation. 2, to take advantage of compounding interest. 3, to reach financial goals faster. 4, for financial freedom and security. And 5, to create a better world. Now, I've read this whole entire chapter, but what I want to specifically touch on is beating inflation because I think that this is very timely and it's a great example of why we should be investing, and how it impacts our everyday lives. So, beat inflation. Sis starts off with saying inflation is not your friend. She does not get to sit with us. So there are three major types of inflation, which was very interesting because I didn't know that. Like, I just thought inflation is inflation. The price of stuff going up, but yet our money is still money in the same. So number one, demand pull inflation. So this is where prices rise because the demand for X exceeds how many of X can be made. So think of your exclusive items. Number two, cost push inflation. And I really believe this is the one that we experience a whole lot. So this is when the cost of making X goes up, and then as the consumer, we pay for it. So if it costs more, and I'm pretty sure you probably seen these at some of your ghetto Chinese restaurants, like they'll type up on a paper, food costs. Jesus, why am I stuttering? They'll put like food costs is going up, so you will see prices increase. So they're upfront and transparent with you about it. Because the prices of this food is going up, baby, your Chinese plate is about to go up as well, and we're not gonna feel no way about it. You getting it or you not? So that's a perfect example of cost push inflation. And then last but not least, built-in inflation. So this doesn't have a whole lot to do with the product itself, more so about the government, the economy, everything that's going on in this world. So a great example, she says, if you have $10 right now, you could probably buy 2 coffees. But in 2030, that $10 may go down to 1.5 coffee because the price of the coffee increases. Now, an example that I gave, and if you follow me on TikTok, you saw it, is my Uncle Rome. I love him to death. Lord, bless his soul, rest in peace. So this picture that I have on the screen, he is posing in front of a McDonald's, and you see here a Big Mac, fries, and a drink was $3.59. Versus today in 2023, that same Big Mac meal is almost $12. So that shows you how real inflation is. So in the book, she talks about how in the 21st century, inflation usually sits around 2%. So that means the prices and the value of different things, they go up about 2% every year, but our dollar decreases in value every year, which is a major reason why it's important to invest. So as your money is, or so as the cost of things are growing, your money is continuing to grow as well. And you want your money to grow at a higher rate than inflation. So that's why she says beat inflation. So with the stock market, typically the stock market averages around 7 to 10% every year. Now, this is where I go back to reference from college to COVID to recession, because again, it's not an either or conversation, it's a both and conversation. In this paragraph, she says, the wealthy understand inflation. They had the privilege of receiving financial education, and as a result, they know the key to building generational wealth is not through saving, but rather investing. What did I say, y'all? Both and, not either or. They put money for their children, not in savings account, but in funds that invest their wealth. 18 years of inflation is not something they will wish on their child, and neither should we. This is why you should invest. Investors in training understand that instead of stashing their money cash in their mattress, that's real old school, or in a bank account where their interest rate is between 0.1 and 0.3%, investing is a much more coherent way to beat inflation. So here inside the book, I'm one of the girlies that take notes when I'm reading and highlighting and all type of stuff in my books. Here I put, that's the difference between a traditional versus a HYSA. Now, a high yield savings account is very different from a traditional savings account because they're going to pay you more money for having your money chill in a savings account. Now, I don't think there's nothing wrong with having a traditional savings account. Yes, you can have some money there, just, chilling there, but get you a high yield savings account. Right now, we have interest rates between 4 and 5%. My high yield savings that I have with Capital One is 4.3%, which is amazing. During COVID, the interest rate was like 0.80%, which is not that great, but it was still higher than the traditional savings account. So when you are creating your high yield savings account, know that the interest rates can go up, they can go down, but having an interest rate of between 4 to 5% is a huge, huge, huge deal. And if you need help with creating a high yield savings account and the ins and outs, I created a savings guide. It's totally free. Just click the link in my description box below and I walk you through that entire process. What to look for, how to choose one, what resources to go to for choosing one, how much money you need to open up one. And then I also have some money challenges in there for you as well. So click the link in my description box, download that guide, and create you a high yield savings account, because that is a great way to earn more money while your money is sitting in a savings account. Now, that doesn't mean don't invest, right? It's a both and. I need to be saving and I need to be investing. But I will preface this with, if you don't have the money management piece down pat yet, I don't necessarily think it's wise for you to start investing. And when I say the money management piece, I mean budgeting consistently. I mean saving consistently. Like, do you have an emergency fund with $1,000 in it, at least $1,000 in it already? 3 to 6 months of expenses. Are you actively paying down debt? Now, I'm not saying you need to be completely debt free before you start investing, but what I don't want you to do is open up an investment account and now you have to dip into this investment account because you need it for X, Y, and Z. Like, no, get your foundation in place, manage your money very well, and then jump into investing and watching your money grow long term. In the meantime, though, you can have a high yield savings account and start earning more money there. Now, this next one, take advantage of compounding interest. Now, I'm only going to talk about these two specifically in this video. If you want to hear about the other three, go purchase the book, or I might do another video later talking about the other three. But take advantage of compounding interest. This one spoke loudly to me, because oftentimes we think that we need thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to start investing, and that's not true. What's really going to help us out is time, way more than money. Yes, we need money, but more important than money, we need time and consistency. And I want to show you this great example of what she explained in this book and what made it come alive to me in my mind. But before we get into that example, I want to explain to you what compound interest is. So y'all remember that song from way back in the day? It was probably like when I was in middle school or high school, so maybe like 2013, 2014, something like that. But the song was racks on racks on racks, racks on racks on racks. That's compound interest. Racks on top of racks on top of racks. So an example is, if you start investing with $1,000 and you have a 10% interest rate, like the market went up 10%, you earn $100 on that investment. So now you have $1,100, $1,100. Now the following year, you earn another 10%. But instead of your investment just growing at $1,000, no, now it's growing at $1,100. So your money is racking on top of each other. So compound interest really impacts you when you have time. The time is always going to help you out. It is your best friend. So remember, as I am explaining this, more than money, you need time and consistency, not thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. All right, so let's get into it. And I'm going to read this directly from the book. Due to compounding, the value of investing $1 in your 20s is more powerful than investing $10 in your 40s. Let's let that marinate. Investing $1 in your 20s is more powerful than investing 10 in your 40s. So I don't want you to sit here listening to this video and just lollygag and say, oh, I'm gonna wait. No, time is the best thing that you have. And the thing is, you don't need a whole lot to start off with. If Sarah started investing at 25 with even as little as $300 a month, assuming an annual rate of return, 8%, and annual rate of return is how much money you're making every year. So say you're making 8% on your money every year. By the time she was 65, she'd have $460,000 saved. However, if Sarah decided she didn't want to invest until later on, waited until she was 35 and invested $300 a month until 65 with the same rate of return, so still making 8% on her money, she would only have $251,000. So starting at 25 with $300 a month, $460,000. Starting at 35 with the same amount, $251,000. So do you see the difference between the time? 10 years. 10 years is a huge difference. So almost half of what she could end up with had she started 10 years earlier. If Sarah decided that she was going to invest once she had a higher salary and begin when she was 40, y'all know we love that excuse. Oh, I don't make enough money. I don't make enough money. Start off with what you can. It don't even have to be $300. It could be $50, right? If Sarah decided that she was going to invest when she had a higher salary and begin when she was 40, and she put in $600 a month, she doubled the amount of money of her 25-year-old self, you'd assume that she would be able to catch up to 25-year-old Sarah's portfolio. Now listen to this. Surprisingly, 40-year-old Sarah would only end up with $359,000 at 65. That's almost $100K difference. She started at 40, doubled the amount of 25, and still ended up with less money. So that tells you right there that time is way more important. Despite investing double the monthly amount and that almost is $100,000 difference. Despite investing double the monthly amount, and it highlights the importance of time in the market over investing with larger sums of money later on in life. So time is greater than money. And then I want to just leave you in this book with this saying that she has here. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. Whenever we have the opportunity, it's time to take action to invest towards our future. So I'm going to read that one more time. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. Whenever we have the opportunity, it's time to take action to invest towards our future. So this is all that I have for this video, some key financial tips from 2 books that I'm reading right now, From College to COVID to Recession and Girls That Invest. Make sure you pick up both of these books and start reading. Like she closed out, or like I closed out with this segment, the best time to invest in yourself is now. You may not have the money now, but what I do want you to do consistently is invest in your self-education. What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? What YouTube videos are you watching? What are you consuming? Start investing in your self-education. There's no better time to do it than now. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Please make sure you like, comment any questions that you have, comment any concerns that you have, or anything that you feel like stood out to you throughout this video. And make sure you share it with a friend. Do not be the only responsible homegirl in the crew. Make sure you level up with your homegirls together. And do not forget, with exposure, execution, and consistency, there is absolutely nothing you can't do. See you in the next video.